God, today is a new day with many unknowns. Old problems may need new solutions. New challenges may need new ideas. Whatever we do, we need your guidance and support for our efforts. We support your strength and need your guidance. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez. Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry is out sick today. And Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 1, public comment.
Mr. Cornelius Joseph, District 2, to discuss the agenda item about renaming a street to J. Leo Hardy.
Good evening. For you to act that you do a very historic and admirable thing, and that's to rename Happy Street known as J. Leo Hardy. Was the NWT president here in New Iberia, Louisiana. He was the first one. He was a trailblazer. He was a community activist, and he was outspoken advocate for civil rights. So often we honor people in Memphis for what they've done, and this is one of the times to do it, and I asked the council to consider that in Memphis to rename in Happy Street known as J. Leo Hardy, who was a trailblazer. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. That was our only comment card. I'll remind you, please turn your cell phones off, put them on vibrate. Now we'll go to agenda item 2. Madam Clerk.
Acceptance of the minutes of the January 16th, 2018 meeting as published on January 26, 2018.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 3.
Persons to address the council. First, we have Pastor Zachary Mitchell to discuss upcoming citywide all-night prayer and the New Iberia citywide prayer walk.
Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
So appreciate this opportunity and an honor to come and share with our city council concerning our citywide events, and want to first of all really thank Natalie Lopez, because we began what we call a
Who's on the way?
citywide attack, if you want to call it so, to combat the forces in our city, as well as taking our city for God. That's what we call it. And I represent a conglomerate of churches. It's called the Iberia Christian Ministerial Federation. It's roughly about 16 pastors and churches, and they're all different churches, Baptist and Catholic and full gospel and Pentecostal. And it's a growing conglomerate because we must come together in unity to do this task. I want to quickly say to you that this agenda that we have, which we call prayer walking, as well as all-night prayer and walking our streets, we have committed to doing this for 6 months. Our city has 6 districts, and so we are taking a district per month. We have already done District 1, which Natalie Lopez is the councilwoman there, and she did an honorable job in representing our city. She took part in it, and want to publicly thank her for all her efforts. Also to the mayor that attended our events. He would have been on it for 100%, but we happened to have some floods that had to take precedence over that. But want to really thank him for doing that. Also want to thank Councilman Marlon for meeting with us and coming on board, because this month in February, we're concentrating on District 2. And so what we have coming up is this Saturday, we have a prayer walk, and I apologize that I don't have any flyers or anything, but I wanted to kind of speak to you folks from my heart. We have coming this Saturday a prayer walk that is we're going to park and meet at Johnston Elementary there on Hopkins Street, and then we're going to culminate at Anderson Middle School. And so this is our plan. We plan on not avoiding any streets in our city. This is a citywide problem. This is a citywide situation. I don't know if you guys monitor social media, but there have been many different people having many different opinions about how to solve this. Let me just make one comment about one of these opinions. Gentleman said this. He said that walking and praying is not enough, and we have to root out the devil. That's his. He did not offer a solution. Now, a question I have for you, and I'm going to be honorable enough to not let you answer the question, but do you think what's going on in our city is evil? So, you can't address evil with medicine. Evil is a spiritual thing. Now, there are other answers that have to come together to deal with this, but you better have the spiritual on board. And I want to say to this city that you do. You have pastors that have a heart for this city. You have pastors that are mobilizing their congregations to pray. We have people praying from the Carolinas all the way up to Minnesota, all the way out to California for New Iberia, because we have people in these places that live here, and by contact of social media and etc., they're staying updated on what's going on in this city because they love this city. And so they're on board with us, people praying for this city. We must address it so, and we must have the other entities to come aboard, education, city government, parish government, just to name a few. And we are extremely confident that we have the upper hand. Now, for many people, it may not look like it. There is quite possibly a sense of fear in our city, but it is going to change. The problem didn't start overnight. It's not going to end overnight, but we have a good start on it, and we have a good handle on it. And so I want to encourage you to be with us this Saturday. We meet at Johnston Hopkins Elementary at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. We'll park our cars and we go on the walk. We have security, the city, the state police, the sheriff's department is on board with us, and we have security and etc. And we walk and we pray. We walk and we pray. Also, we are visiting all the areas in our city to make sure we lift those areas up in prayer. So we are bored. We know a lot of our cities are bored. And also, the last thing I want to say before I take my seat, I would like to encourage you to be with us in what we call an all-night prayer. Now, we don't go all night. We go from 10 to 2. And we've had some people in this first one say, I've never prayed that long, and I understand. But the thing that I think a lot of our city does not understand is the nature of this problem. This is a serious problem, and it takes some seriousness to solve it. And I don't know about you, but I know God answered prayer. So on the 23rd of February, we'll be at, I think it's 1202 St. Peter, which is a church, and it's called House of Prayer. We'll be there for an all-night prayer. And then we do what we call boots on the ground. We get on the ground and we go from door to door, seeing for the needs of the people, praying for them, bringing resources that we know we have in the churches to that district. Now what we're going to do, as for when we see all the needs, etc., we deliver those needs not only to the councilman but also to the churches in that district. And I really thank God for all of you and all of those that are on board with this, and for the the rest of you council members, look out, we're coming. So be ready and understand. We want to know what your problem is in your district so that we can be lifting that up to heaven. Thank you so much for hearing me. Good to see you, Miss Natalie. So glad that you were able to make it. Mayor, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if there's any information, you can contact me. I'm in the book, or you can get me by my cell phone. I do answer it, 256-3672. 256-3672. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to say, you know, I've been meeting with the Ministerial Federation probably since January. And they've been a big part of my administration in my first year and will continue to be a part of what I do here. Zach's involved in a lot of things, from on board with the new police department to just all kind of stuff. So I can't thank you enough for what you do for our community, what your pastors do. And I look forward to more of the same. Thank you. Yes, now.
Sorry, I was 5 minutes late. My
Sorry.
son had a basketball game. No, I just want to say a few things because District 1 was first. Because I'm 1, so I get to go first. No. And we had the all-night prayer, and I participated in that. And we did the prayer walk, and I also participated in that. And it was just very rewarding. And I just encourage everyone to take advantage of this opportunity and the public to come out and see what great things that these people are doing for our city. It was truly, truly a great weekend for me. So that's all.
Thank you. Any further comments? Madam Clerk, 3B.
Sharon Russo with Shares Hope to discuss National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month and receipt of a proclamation from the City of New Iberia.
Good evening.
Council members. February is National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. The statistics show that 1 in 10 teens that are dating will, within a year, be physically abused. And they also show that 1 in 3 teens will be verbally, emotionally, physically, or sexually abused before the age of 20. So this is a national movement to recognize teen dating violence and bring awareness and prevention to it. And we're going to be hosting, Shayla is going to be hosting a candlelight vigil on Thursday, February 22nd. And I'd like to extend an invitation to all of you to come by. It's going to be a short thing. It won't be a long, drawn-out thing. From 5:30 to 6:30 in Bellini Plaza. And what we're hoping to do is get teen representatives from all the high schools in Iberia Parish. They're represented. And it's just going to be a short program to start standing against, bringing awareness and come against this teen dating violence, because it is happening. That's a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a proclamation, but does anybody have any questions first or anything? Yes.
What was the date again?
Thursday, February 22nd,
22nd?
in the Bellini Plaza at the gazebo, 5:30 to 6:30.
Thank you.
Any further comments? I'll read the proclamation. Whereas all young people deserve to be treated with respect, and whereas respectfully, supportive, and nonviolent relationships are key to safety, health, and academic success. Whereas teen dating abuse is a significant health issue, with 10 to 20% of youth reporting physical or sexual violence from a dating partner. Whereas victimization increases teens' risk for injury, substance abuse, eating disorders, unwanted pregnancy, and suicide, and young people exposed to violence are at a greater risk for becoming victims and perpetrators in adult relationships. Whereas parents, teachers, coaches, healthcare providers, clergy, artists, musicians, and other important people in teens' lives have the power to influence youth in positive ways. Whereas we urge citizens to join Shea Hope Family Violence Crisis Center in promoting healthy teen relationships and call upon youth and adults to observe National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month in the city of New Iberia. And it's now, therefore, I, Freddie DeCord, Mayor of the City of New Iberia, proclaim February 6, 2018 as National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Thank you.
I'd like to also invite the citizens of New Iberia to come and stand together too. I believe with Zach, together we can make some changes.
Yes, we
all
can.
come together and do it.
Great. I have
Thank
a
you,
proclamation
Mayor.
for you. No, thank you. Thanks for all you do. All right, Madam Clerk.
We have a representative with Solomon House to discuss a fundraising event.
Good evening. My name is Frederick Dordon. I'm on the board of directors for Solomon House. I know you've been addressed with Solomon House before. You know who we are. We are one of the biggest pantry in this town. And not too long ago, we introduced to you the Can of Nothing, one of our ongoing fundraiser that we are doing, and it's still ongoing. It's a slow process because we know it's going to take a little bit of a cultural change before everybody adopts it, but we still believe in that. We have changed a few things in Solomon House now in the way we distribute food. We are giving people, we're doing what's called kind choice, where people now, instead of being given bags of food that they may or may not need or use, now they come in and choose for themselves. They go through the pantry and get what they feel they're going to be using, which is a little bit more efficient, better for the limiting the waste, and also it's more respectful to the person. So we're doing that. What I'm addressing you tonight with is we are going to do a small fundraiser doing land, which we call the 40 days of land. But we're asking, well, land is a period where everybody sacrifices. We cut down on some of our habits, and part of that is the habit of eating. So we're cutting down, we eat less sweet, or maybe we give up on Cokes or whatever. What we're asking people in Iberia and people here is to add to this a little bit of a donation. Give out one meal, two, maybe three, and give the money to Solomon House. We have arranged to have distribution at the Iberia. Of course, you can send money to Solomon House and the Episcopal Church also, which is involved with Solomon House. So basically, what we're asking is not only sacrifice for land, but put that money into the $5, the $10, whatever it costs you per meal, and do that to help out other people who do not necessarily have to. Well, they don't have to sacrifice because sometimes we don't. So this is what we're asking you to do. Appreciate it. Thanks for the chance to be put that in front of the board.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
Right, because it was supposed to be scheduled for tonight. Yeah.
Madam Clerk, item 4.
The public hearing on the resolution declaring the intention of the mayor and city council of the city of New Iberia to issue taxable sewer revenue bonds not to exceed $3,500,000 has been rescheduled for February 20th, 2018 due to publication issues.
Thank you. All right, item 5.
Public hearing on budget amendment number 2017-2018-06.
I need a motion to open the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Swear. I need a second. Councilman Broussard. Do we have any public comment? Hearing none. I need a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilwoman Lopez and a second by Council. I don't know who had the second. Oh, okay. Councilman Lewis. Thank y'all. Item 6.
Ordinance for budget amendment number 2017-2018-06, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2017-2018, to appropriate funds for the 2018 public safety bond.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Swear. Do we have any discussion? Remember, this is the same item from last meeting on the bond money to begin to purchase everything for the police department.
Mayor,
Yes.
question.
Sure.
The last meeting, as you mentioned, it had more of a breakdown of the dollars, where it was spent. And on this one, it has the categories of what department, how much the money is. So, the line item that we received, those numbers could change, but the total amount of that
Correct.
department would stay the same.
Correct. Where we're coding the money will stay the same. We are still shopping. We are still, receiving bids, so some of those items could change, but the total, it will
Right.
come to that total that we're approving. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Yes, Councilman.
I have quite a few constituents calling the past couple of weeks and trying to get a few things cleared up. Basically, they want to know, and I myself want to know, where are we right now as far as an update goes for come July 1 that we can get starting up and rolling. Maybe you can answer those. You can help us and answer those questions that they have. In fact, with all the violence that's been going on, they want to know where we are or where we stand for July 1.
I'll be glad to. Might take a minute, but
Hey,
I
please
think
do.
it's
I
well
mean,
worth it. Okay, great. We're building a total police department, okay? That means every facet of a police department. I'm gonna tell you that today was probably one of the most enjoyable days that I've had because we had interviews today. Those blocked out the entire day. We have a panel that comes in. The talent that's coming in these rooms that is coming to come to our police department is exciting. I mean, we've got people from every department coming, and that's just one facet. So and council members are invited to attend these and observe. Most of you have at least attended one or two. You see the questions we're asking. We've got a great board. So that's one step. One step is the manpower. One step is the talent and the leadership. We already have some really good people in place that have the skills and want to do this. And the thing we find that every person that's coming is coming not for the money, not for the job, but every one of them talks about the opportunity. What we have an opportunity to do here. Like Reverend Zach Mitchell talks about turning our community around, and it's going to take prayer, but turning it around through prayer. These men and women are coming and saying, I'm ready to give my part and my skills and my 30 years or my 20 years of experience to turn this community around to hit the law enforcement piece, because that's going to have to be part of it. But when you think about it, look, I was a victim of crime 3 times this week. 3 times, okay? My gas station got broken into. One of my tenants got a brick through the window and the alarm went off. One of my brand new tenants, poor lady, first night she's moving in a building, some joker breaks her window and steals her purse on her Audi, whatever. Breaks the window on her car. That's in 1 week. I've had my office broken into. I've had trailers stolen. I've had the tires on the truck stolen. We all have been victims of ridiculous amounts of crime. We know that. But we're going to make a difference. But it's not time to move out. It's not time to call and I need this immediately, or what can you do now, or go put cameras up all over town, or what. I've heard many ideas, many concepts that are good, but it's about what we're building. This is going to be a full faceted police department. So if you think about that, you need long-term intel, you need informants. What's the first thing we always talk about? You got to have boots on the ground. You got to have trust in the community. You got to build those relationships. If people riding around worked, if that's all we needed was to buy 40 cars and put 40 people in and our crime would go away, then guess what? I got a bunch of good people here. We'd all ride around and do it. It's a much bigger picture than that. So what we're doing, I'm blessed, as well as everybody over here has the opportunity to do, is to take the resources we have, to take the dollars that you're given and spend it as wisely as we can. But that's only part of it. It's a whole big picture. So I just want people to realize we go hot July 1. It's a Sunday morning at 6 in the morning, and that's when we go live, okay? Our men and women are coming on board 2 weeks early. So I have 2 weeks of training. But that's not going to make everything go away immediately. But we're going to begin to address the issues and begin to go on the path that's going to make it go away. Like Reverend Mitchell said, it didn't happen overnight. It can't be fixed overnight. But you have to look at this police department as a system, as a functioning, living thing, because it's going to grow legs and it's going to spread. But the most important thing we can do right now is pick the right people for the right positions. And if you could sit in that room, and I mean, there's some privacy issues, and these are people's lives and job interviews, and there's all kind of rules and regulations. If you could sit in the room and see the promise in those people's eyes and the joy that I want to come here and I want to be part of this. I want to make a difference. I want to come and the naysayers, I thought I had a hard head and that I wanted to prove people wrong, and I know I got a hard head. But, yeah, but you were thinking it. But I'm telling you, when I see these people coming, they're like, I don't care how big the mountain is, we're going to climb, but we're going to get there. So to my citizens, just hang in there. We're a great town. We're going to get there. We're spending $2 million tonight. Plus, there's other money in the budget. We'll be spending $1 million more a year than the sheriff's department, because I'm not knocking the sheriff's department in any kind of way. But we have $2 million of bond money they don't have, and we're going to spend $1 million a year more than they're spending. So those extra boots on the ground and this new start. Think about it. Where do you get to just say, I'm creating a whole new department of government, of any government anyway? Whole new, brand new department from the ground up, with a new vision, with a new ideology, with a new focus, which is only this town, is to get the crime out of here. I mean, I can't wait to do public service announcements and say, drug dealers, I know you got a pharmaceutical business, but go somewhere else. Get out of here. We have to move these people on. It's all those shootings, all the crime, all the violence. That's what it's behind. Because we got good people living here. Then the long-term pictures, we got to reach our youth. We got to start while our kids are young, and we got to get to them. We need role models. These cops realize we have to be role models. When you get a cop and he's coming in here saying, I'm moving my family over here, and not one. For every person that's called me and said I'm moving, I got 2 or 3 cops saying, no, I'm moving here. I got them house shopping. They're coming from all surrounding communities to come here to take this challenge and to make a difference. When they're talking about, can we get involved in Boys and Girls Club? Where can we be role models? These people get it? Because many of them come, we had a guy today that he's been in New Orleans and Houston. That guy was impressive. We have crime, we have issues. Sometimes we have big city crimes here. This guy's pumped and ready. And they come in, one after one. So I just want our citizens to please hang in there and to please understand, I don't have an overnight fix, but I'm telling you we got to fix. And together, between the neighborhood watches and the eyes and ears, between you, the community, between people that finally can find somebody they can trust and talk to and realize they're not going to get ratted out and the officer's not going to say, yeah, so-and-so told me. Just give us a little time to get in place and to build those relationships, and we're going to fix this. And Zach's group is going to pray about it, and they're going to help. And he's right. There is evil here. We got to get it out of here. And he's got one arm, and the police are going to have the other. And between pulling the community together, between the churches, between all the civic groups, between everybody that's backing this, we're going to do it. It's like building a wall, one brick at a time. Zach gave me a book to read that I understand about 1/8 of it, but I'm reading it and I'm trying, okay? But it's the truth. We're building something. We are all together, and I want y'all to feel that. That's why, I'm so glad that y'all come to the interviews and that y'all are part of every step. I'm trying to show you everything. We're building something special here, but we got to be patient. So I hope that answers.
You pretty much hit the nail on the head. I just ask people to be patient and not want to bail on your Iberia so quickly, that we're doing the best we can, and I think we're doing a great job. And it's going to work out. It just, like I said, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so please just be patient, and it's going to come around. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Councilman Lopez.
Be fine. No, I would just like to add on to that, because I don't get many calls about that, about people being frustrated, like when. But I think the reason that I'm not getting those calls has a lot to do with the strength of District 1's Neighborhood Watch. We started it about 2 or 3 years before I ran, so we about 8 years old right now, 8, 9 years old. But it would be my advice to anyone in the city who's frustrated and wants those kind of answers, to get involved with your neighborhood watch group. Because I'm telling you, our neighborhood watch group started off a little small thing on my corner, and I was the secretary of it. Now we have a Facebook page with 2,000 members, and you can't check your neighbor's mail without somebody messaging your neighbor saying Natalie was checking their mail. We got you. We got you. And we have if you live on a street with someone, the whole street, we have a group text to where something goes down. Because what's going to happen is when this police department is going to start, like the mayor's saying, it's not just going to happen overnight and everything's just going to be perfect and go away. But, a big aid to them is going to be to have direct points of contact. A neighborhood watch admin is so helpful to them, as opposed to 12 people calling and saying 20 things. when you can get it straight through your neighborhood watch and deliver the right message, and we can go from there. So I would just, my advice to anyone who's frustrated or has those types of questions would be to please get involved in your neighborhood watch group, because everyone up here is taking time out of their day, their nights, to attend these meetings, to plan them. And even if you can't go attend a meeting, you can still get on a Facebook page, get on an email list or something, and help your city that way. Help your police department, because they want to help. They're going to want to help you as much as possible.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Having an opportunity to sit in on some of those interviews, and I'm speaking to my constituents in District 2. I'm impressed at what I'm seeing. I'm impressed. I have confidence. I have faith that these guys are going to make a difference. I mean, you said it all. They're going to make a difference, I know what, and I'm not calling people an animal, but I know what type of animal we face it with in the West End, in other areas of town, and it's going to take a special type of animal. You follow me, to trap that, and I see that happening. I see that, or to control that, to suppress that. As long as we have good, we're going to have evil. And you're right, Pastor Zach and the group of ministers are needed. And we also need this police department, man. I feel special to be a part of it. And I'm confident that it's gonna be something special. It's gonna make an impact is the word I'm looking for. It's gonna make an impact in our community. I believe that.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Mayor, I sat on that one today, and it made me think about when you have good parents, you have a young kid, and you can raise them to the right standards. And every person that came in there today said they want the opportunity to get in a police department from scratch. Everyone said that. And the leaders we got with the chief and the assistant chief is a start where they want to be part of it. It's not coming into a force that's 50 or 60 years old. They all said they want to be part of a new, and that was it really stuck to me, because it made sense. Just like good parents, you can have good kids, good leaders. In the department, you have good cops. So I was very impressed today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Broussard.
I was present at some of these interviews today. I was very impressed to see the age of these officers, ladies and men. Under 30, 35 years old, having 10, 12, 15 years of experience already. So we are getting some experience brought in and some ideas that I hope they put on the street like they talked about today, and work with the young and the teens and other groups. So I was very impressed about the youngness of the group coming on, but the experience they have, and explaining some projects that they have accomplished, where they come from. They're all from out of town, but we're glad to see the youngness come into town to work with these young kids that we have a lot of trouble with.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I did have the opportunity to also sit in on several of the interviews. We do have some really, really good candidates, and like Councilman Broussard said, men and women are very excited about becoming a part of something. And from an educational standpoint, from which I come, culture is a very important thing, part of an organization in the school as well. So we have the opportunity to develop a culture and from the start, because sometimes you kind of walk into something that's already there and it's very hard to change it. So we're starting it from the beginning. So having the right culture in our police department will go a long, long way. And I think our leadership that we have hired already, that's a very good start. And like I said, a whole bunch of the people, we have some excellent, excellent candidates. So we're doing well.
Any further comment? And I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, item 7.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents, including but not limited to bill of sales, leases, and contracts for the purchase and/or lease of motor vehicles, including motorcycles, for the New Iberia Police Department.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter, second by Councilman Swear, and I'll give you just an example on this. This is one where we'll be leasing some cars. Now, it might be a lease purchase, because for $1 at the end of the lease, I can buy them. So maybe I could have just bought them. But because it says lease on it, I need and wanted clarity that I could sign it. And we're doing a lot of shopping. You know, now we're partnering with LMA, just to tell you, we're trying to do this reverse bid, something that we just learned about. LMA offers. Our guys have been doing and gals have been doing a great job shopping. We have been really negotiating prices, writing specs, writing policy manuals. You know, they've been very busy. Now we're taking some of the prices that we have, or some that we still need, going through LMA. They are posting these for 15 days, and it's a reverse bid. We basically take the best price, or the state contract price, or the best price we have now, put it up there, and work the bid backwards. And vendors will bid on it and actually bid the price even further down. I mean, we're doing everything we can do to shop this money, because we need so much, and it's tax dollars, and we wanted to go as far as we can. But this gives me the authorization. As of tomorrow, we have, you know, some things that are ready to go. So we're ready to start issuing purchase orders, which I need to sign. So what this is the mechanical part that lets me do my job and spend the money in the budget. And you giving me the authority to sign these and proceed. Any questions? No questions? Please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. 7B.
Resolution supporting and endorsing LAMAT's bid board procurement network, and resolves to use its services offered where proper and appropriate by the mayor, staff, and agents charged with procurement matters.
And that's what I just told you about. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Swear. Do we have any discussion, since I already talked about it? Yes.
Mayor, can that be used in other parts of the city?
Oh, I plan on it.
Okay.
This is something
But it looks like we're voting just for the.
well,
police
for right
department on
now,
this one.
we are voting just really for the police, but,
But that can spread out to.
I don't know,
public
it doesn't
works,
say
whatever.
police.
Well,
No,
it
it's
says
just-
Todd in there, in this resolution.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, well, yeah, then I'll do another one, because no, this is thank you. This
I
is
do
something,
read.
this is something that, I think could really become a very valuable tool. This is the first time that we've ever done this, but, I'm hoping that it could work for other departments.
Right.
Yes, sir.
This is somewhat similar to a private industry and procured system. Now, so y'all gonna use like an email system, or?
Yeah, they take, basically what happens is LMAT, there's an attorney, there's someone who works for LMAT, they get paid by the vendor. There's a fee, there's a 1% fee. So it doesn't cost us anything, we're not obligated if we don't wanna pull the trigger. We send them the specifications, have to be, accurate on the specs so that we can compare apples to apples. But they put it all together, they do the advertisements, they bid it out, give us the results, and we take it or don't take it.
So in other words, we don't have to hire a purchasing
No.
agent.
So
You're gonna
this gets you out of a
outside
person.
service the-
Right. And what this does is, what they're doing is combined, if we need 500 Glocks, they're going to try to find other members of LMA who's looking for, those Glock pistols. So they might go out to bid for 1,500 of them if they can combine that. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But they put this together, and it's across the board, and all the vendors across many lines. We use an example of a Bobcat. So this can work when the guy came down, and that was one of his big examples. And sometimes state contract is not your best price. You might have a situation where a Bobcat's $25,000, let's say, and every year they renew it, and it's $25,000. That's the state contract price. You might reverse bid it and get it for $20,000. Now, I haven't seen that yet, and what I have always been for the year I've been here and for previous years, what you could buy in state contract was kind of like, well, that's going to be the best deal I can get. They're saying, no, it's not. So I said, prove it to me. So we're letting them do this, and, this might well be a tool for, future departments and future purchases. Yes, ma'am.
Comment, when I attended the LMA conference, they did talk about LAMAX and how each municipality could go on and get better deals because they do all of the basic work, and then the vendors just kind of bid on whatever specs there are. So it's a variety. You can do anything pretty much. So it's a really good thing.
I can't wait to see how it functions because we spend a lot of taxpayer dollars here, and this would be a great tool to tighten that up. Any further discussion?
Yeah, one quick, I guess you have to be an LMA member.
Yes,
are.
yes,
And we are,
And we are.
and we pay a fee to be that member.
we are.
Okay,
We are.
thank you.
So this is use for our fee. Anything further? Great. I'll ask you to please vote your machine. Madam Clerk, 5C.
Resolution of sympathy on behalf of Miss Mary Catherine Pritchard, presented by David Merrill.
Good evening.
I'd like to thank the mayor and also the leader that for asking me to help me do this. Bridget was a love person in this community, and she did a lot for a lot of us, for sending us with cards and everything, giving us advice, and also gave me and a lot of the people that I sent there good communication and helping us to try to get the word out for what we're trying to do to represent ourselves, whether it was in politics or whatever you were dealing with. I'd like to read a little short bio on her that her son sent to me. But when she passed away, they didn't have anything to put in the paper, so I asked her to put something together for me. Miss Catherine Pritchard was born in 1938, December, and died January 2018. Her home is where the heart is. In this case, heart lived and touched the lives of so many others in the 45 years she resided in Iberia. Her mom, a sister, a friend, a teacher, a journalist, a kind heart, Mary Kay sought to teach and to also help whatever she was able to do. Mary Kay's first job was in New Iberia at Gulf South Research Institute, out at the Old Naval Air Base in the early 70s. But she waited for her teaching credentials to catch up with her. While she excelled at business with her major in language arts and business communication, her love of teaching, along with the arrival for her teaching certificate, quickly moved her into the hallways of Anderson Street Junior High School, where she picked up the mantle of 7th grade English teacher and immediately began touching the minds and hearts of all her students. Even as she neared the end of life, it was not uncommon for some of her now grown students to stop by her business to share with her their youth family members. Mary Kay always found great joy in seeing her students grown and successful, their children in the interest of their business. When she made the decision to depart from Madison Street Junior High, she did not leave her joy of teaching. Rather, she brought it with her into Iberia printing on Main Street, and Iberia Journal newspaper also, which she and her husband Bill Pritchard, who passed away, owned. Mary Kay used her knowledge of language arts and business communication to professionally lay out the business, professional, and social printing needs of New Iberia, and extended the skill and joy beyond into Acadiana as well. No job was too small for Mary Kay. She would sit and she would listen. She would listen and constituted to educate the customer so that their message was designed highly standards of industry and social acceptance by the people that heard. Along the way, she continued to help and touch. She lives of so many around her. Many of the community leaders in office to this day may have been touched by her communication style through the community. She also frequently volunteered her services to the community-based programs in New Iberia to enrich both the target core of recipients as well as her hope to improve the city as a whole. Her love of New Iberia was boundless, as was of her husband Bill. Together they made a home and anchored their hearts to the banks of the Teche and steadfastly remained in this community home where their hearts live in Iberia, Louisiana. I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for letting me come up. This woman was a very great woman in our community. She wasn't from here, she was from Minnesota. But she lived here, she grew here, and she loved Iberia very much. And on representative of her son, I'm going to go on and send him one of these certificates of resolution as well. And I thank you guys for letting me come up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We need a motion for the resolution.
Second.
Great. We have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Ledbetter. Thank y'all. Do we vote?
Nope.
Vote your machines. Thank y'all very much. Thank you, David.
Could I say something?
Yes,
about
ma'am.
this?
Sure.
Miss Pritchett, I met Miss Pritchett several years ago when I was president of the Louisiana Reading Association, and I had to put together a newsletter. And Miss Pritchett was very, very, very helpful. I had to do 4 newsletters during the year, and they were like 8 pages long. And she really worked hard with me, and I always, we would always sit down and talk for hours about everything. When you would go to her, you had better be ready to sit down for a while, But she was always very, very helpful. And then when I decided to run for city council, I went to her again, and she helped me do the push cards and all. And I'm sure she helped many of us here, to do the same. So she's terribly missed, You would always pass by on Main Street, and her white car, her SUV would be there, She was a one-person office, and, she was there late and all. And she will be sadly missed in New Iberia.
Thank you.
Way back in the days of my insurance, they were very, very helpful into getting my cards out, my literature to send out to people. But the old machines in the back, he caught a rough time trying to keep those things alive. Old, and he used them to the end. But very respectful people, like play golf. He liked his golf. I'm talking about the man, but just the woman, Mrs. Pritchett was behind the scenes, always as supportive of the husband as she could be.
Thank you.
You have a little story. I was like, I guess 25 years ago when I ran first time for office. I think I ran, me and you ran against each other.
Ran against each other.
Neither one won.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that?
Hey,
Oh,
we tried.
good stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. And so Miss Pritchett did my card, and not long ago, probably last year or so before she passed, I went to do some air conditioning work for her at that little building, and she says, "Now, why you didn't let me do some of your political stuff?" I said, "Miss Pritchett, I thought you didn't do this anymore. No one was at the office." She said, "I have a telephone." So she had a lot of sense of humor. You're right. She was a good person. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey.
I met her in 2009. We were putting together our Hopkins Street Economic Development, which is a political subdivision. She helped us put that together. She also made all the literature that we put out, our flyers. She did it for free. We did it's called CLED, Community Leadership and Economic Development, put on by LSU. She was very integral in that. And again, years later, I came to her running for city council. And her being a writer, man, she helped me line everything up. I wouldn't put this and I wouldn't put, she's going to be missed. She's going to be missed, man. And David, thank you for, thinking about her.
Yep. Great, thank y'all. Appreciate it very much. Madam Clerk, item 8.
October 31st, 2017, budget to actual comparisons by Kevin Zarang, our city treasurer.
Good evening.
What I'm going to present to you is the 2018 budget to actual. This is for the fiscal year ending, so this is the last report. We're going to start, we'll go line by line, as we have in the past, if nobody has a problem with that. So, given that it was 12 months, we're looking at 100% of the budget is where we should be. So starting on the top, on the general fund, legislative, we were budgeted $103,000, we came in at $100,000, which put us at 97.49% of the budget. City Court was budgeted $28,000 in revenue, came in at $28,086, which is 100.31% of the budget. For expenses, they were budgeted $229,000, they came in at $207,000, for 90.45% of the budget. Legal was budgeted $16.3 thousand, they came in at $18.5, to make it 113% of the budget for revenue. For expenses, they were budgeted at $121,000, they came in at $118,000, resulting in a 27.49% of the budget. Administration was budgeted $118,000 revenue, they came in at $113,000, to end the year at 96%. For expenses, they were budgeted $515,000, they came in at $471,000, they used up 71.53% of the budget expenses. City Hall occupancy was budgeted $181,000, they spent $170,000, they used 93.37% of their budget. Their Folk Lane building was budgeted $980 of expenses, they used $944, they used 96.32% of their budget. Insurance was budgeted an expense of $295,000, we came in at $222,000, they used 75.31% of their budget. Finance was budgeted to bring in $4.3 million in revenue. They came in at 4.25%, resulting in bringing in 97.26% of the budgeted revenue. On the other end, they were budgeted to spend $563,000. They spent $538,000, resulting in they used only 95.44% of their budget. Municipal Civil Service was budgeted to spend $84,300. They spent $83,400, resulting in them using 98.9% of their budget. Police and Civil Service budgeted $2,500 in expenses. They spent $2,000. They used 80.26% of their budget. Planning and zoning was budgeted to bring in $154,000. They brought in 25.6, resulting in 16.64. I'd like to take this moment to explain why that happened. We had budgeted bringing in the revenue for Church Alley. Church Alley, the revenue comes in as the portions are completed. Our project was not completed last year, so we were not able to bring all of the grant money we had expected. So on the same statement, they were budgeted to spend $280,000. They spent $169,000, resulting in them spending 61% of their budget. Nonprofit, we were supposed to budgeted to bring in $20,000. We didn't bring in, so we met 0% of that budget. Budgeted, we were to bring in, spend $16,100. We spent $16,700, resulting in us using up 104% of our budget. I'll go back to the revenue. That was a grant we were going to apply for when we did the budget originally. We did not get that. That's why we don't have the revenue. Police department was to bring in $6.4 million. We brought in $6.4 million. We brought in 99.99% of the budget. We were budgeted to spend $6.5 million. We spent $6.4 million. We used up 99.24% of the budget. Fire department was to bring in $2 million. We spent and we brought in $2 million. We came in at 99.68% of the budget. We were going to expend $5 million. We spent $4.6 million. They used up 91.96% of their budget. Inspections and permits was budgeted to bring in $191,000. They brought in $238,000. They exceeded their budget and then came in at 124.919% of their budget. They were budgeted to expend 302,000. They spent 272. They used up 90.18% of the budget. The way the inspection, I saw some looks, the way they brought that in was excess fines, not excess, but fines and compliance and demolition. Correct?
Well, that's the big winner.
Yeah.
Slimer was to bring in 18,000. They brought in 20,000. They came in at 111% of their budget revenue. They were budgeted to spend 19.6 thousand. They spent 13.8. They used 70.42% of their budget. Transfer ends was supposed to be 1.5 million. We transferred in 1.5. The budget should have said 100%. That was an error on the formula. We were to transfer out 1.65 million. We transferred out 1.65, so it was 100% of the budget. Overall, the general fund was to bring in 4.9 million. They brought in 14.7 million. We came in at 98.47% of the budget. We were to spend 15.8. We ended up spending 15.1. We spent 95% of our budget. So overall, the general fund brought in more than it spent. We had budgeted. Next is Parks and Recreation. Parks was budgeted to bring in 995,000. They brought in 1.1 million. They came in at 108.33% of their budget revenue. They were budgeted to spend 1.3 million. They spent 1.2. They came in at 91.68%. Public Works was budgeted to bring in 2.22 million. They brought in 2.2 million, came in at 98.8% of their revenue. They were budgeted to spend 2.8 million. They spent 2.6. They used 95.64% of their budget. Sales tax fund was to bring in 8.1 or 8.076 to be more specific. They brought in 8.145. They brought in 100.85% of their budget. They were to spend, which includes transfer outs, of 8.3 million. But we transferred out 8.3 million. They came in at 99.94% budget. Garbage fund was to bring in 4.4 million. They brought in 4.4 million to come in at 100.6% of their budget. They were to spend 4.4 million. They spent 4.4. They came in. They spent 100.03% of the budget. Section 8 was to bring in 1,284,000. They brought in 1,297,000. They brought in 100.96% of their budget. They were to spend 1,295,000. They spent 1,276,000. They used up 98.48% of their budget. Wastewater was to bring in 5,318,000. They brought in 5,221,000. They brought in 98.18% of their budget. They were budgeted to spend 4,377,000. They spent 3,907,000, resulting in spending of 89.24% of their budget. Does the council have any questions?
Yeah.
I have one question.
That's fine.
Okay. The back to planning and zoning, being that we granted the substantial completion last meeting, is that correct? On the for the church alley project. When are we supposed to be receiving those funds?
We submitted the funds in October, in November for reimbursement.
Okay.
So we'll have a receivable on the books at the end of the fiscal year for that amount. We have all but signed off on a few
Yes.
pieces to be finished, so we should send out we'll send out the last payment. Once that check gets cashed, then we can submit it in for reimbursement.
Okay.
So I would think by April, we should have spent it all and received all.
And received it all. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I just have a comment. I want
You
to
too.
thank the department heads. I mean,
That's what I
it's
would-
amazing how close, and they did the 1 year, the first year we were here, we voted for a budget, and they stayed within that rim, and that's hard when you have things that come up that you can't control. And so, man, I want to thank you and the department heads, because that's, we talked about earlier, with the right people in the right places, you can make things happen. And it was a tough year on our taxes last year, and they stayed with, I want to applaud them, because it's not easy when you're out there trying to do your job and you're limited to what you can spend. And that says a lot about the direction we're going in, you know? And the beginning of this year, we've been having negative taxes. Luckily this last month, we had a positive come in, so things
That's
are
right.
trying to turn around. But I want to applaud the efforts of not only the department heads and city workers to stay within that rim. And what makes it nice is that these reports that we do now monthly, we get
the
makes-
pulse, you know?
we can get the pulse and stay within our spending needs, and it makes a big difference than it used to be in the past. So thank you for that, and thank them for all that they do.
Right, and I'm gonna echo that because, you know, I see the day-to-day. These are numbers on a page. I see the debates. I see that, you know, money's always the issue. Whether it's your private business, whether it's your house, whether it's whatever, okay, money's always the issue. I'm gonna tell you that with this, I looked up at every department head as I was looking at their balances and where they landed. Because I see, you know, I've been here for a year, had never done this before to this capacity. When you look at it, and you, well, everybody did well, you know, and you kind of, but when you're there day to day and you see the grind and you see these people struggle and debate and go back and forth and get aggravated and whatever it takes, okay? When you watch people handle this money like it's their own and fight for their departments, fight for their employees, you watch the employees working to save money, you watch the department head struggling to keep the ball moving and to passionately, you know, plead their case for why our funds are limited. You know, if we had all the money in the world, we'd be zooming, you know, but of course we don't. So each department is it's just by nature. Each department is trying to grab their piece to do their thing, and each department head, which I am blessed, we've got great department heads. They know their business, they know what they're doing, and each one of them is passionate about making something happen. So with that comes a whole lot of conflict over the money. But it's wonderful. I mean, I have no problem with it. Some people get really aggravated, and I'm like, this is part of business. You know, I had these same battles at my personal company when it was my own money. So my biggest comment is thanks to our workers, thanks to our department heads, keep the passion going. And, you know, to the taxpayers, we are truly spending this money like it was our own. And there's no waste here. And, you know, we fighting amongst ourselves and amongst, you know, whatever it takes to get the money to go the furthest that it can. And every one of you, I applaud your efforts. Every department head, Kevin did a great job on this. This is what being in government's really about. So thank y'all. Yes, sir.
I just want to reflect what you and the pro tem had said. I do want to thank our department heads for what they're doing. Our first year in administration and being on this council, it shows a lot, and I'm optimistic about what the future holds, being that we're up here making these decisions and they're doing their end of the deal and keeping it intact. So I appreciate all y'all doing and their hard work, and also not to forget the workers underneath y'all. So thank you.
That's right. Mayor,
Yes.
I too want to congratulate our department heads and our staff members that's working under them. They're doing a fabulous job. Keep up the good work.
Yep. Any further comments? Yes, ma'am.
Guess I'll say something too. No, it's like sometimes I'm not gonna talk, and then everybody starts talking, and then I'm like, I guess I better say something. No, everyone has done
That's
a
what
great
makes
job.
us good.
No, everyone has done a great job, and being here, I guess, Dan, what is this? We're in our 6th year. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
They didn't have this desk up here when I was here.
I've seen a lot, and I've seen seen and heard of a lot of fights, and I've watched a lot of departments really transition from the money they used to have to the money they have now, and it's been like amazing to see them stick it out through this. But I'm gonna be, I'm gonna pick a special person, and I'm gonna say, for me, what I've seen with the Parks and Recreation Department, of the challenges that they have undergone and the transition they've had to take, and Heather taking it on in a time where she really didn't know if that job was going to be hers later on down the road, and what she has done. I'm just beyond impressed. I can't tell you the amount of days I have seen Heather at lunch with her employees, just racking the brains, and I'm impressed. And that's a department that I think has a lot of potential with the bringing back of the police department. The police department working hands in hand with the Park and Rec to really enhance it and get our kids involved in that situation. And she's just so devoted. So she gets my Employee of the Year award.
That's right.
That was important.
All right, here you go. A new award.
We'll have a Councilman of the Year award.
Well, I mean, I'm due there.
Any further discussion? And look, just while we're saying this, I got to thank the council. Because, y'all have been very engaged. I've served in a council for 8 years. I think this council is more engaged and more of a team than any council previously that I served on. So I can't thank y'all enough for the input, and, that's part of what keeps us moving. Yes, sir.
Well, I want to thank you, Kevin, for, simplifying this, explaining it.
Yep.
The way it needs to be explained. I own a business, but I never had to read a budget. My business is cash, money go in one pocket, money go in one pocket and go out the other. So, that's my business. But also, as far as the department heads go, I just like the fact that when I call them, they answer. Because a lot of times when we have floods and we have different things go wrong, you can't just call Hillary and Sandra and say, look, we need this. And
we want it
when
Saturday.
we call,
I'm
I'm telling you, the department heads that I've dealt with, Mr. Leroy, Jimmy, those guys, Johnny on the spot, for me, I appreciate them, She already gave Heather a kudos, so.
Did that. I just left from the park, that's why I was late.
I served on the council before, and this go round, we're getting a lot more responses back to us faster. And dealing with the people that we have to deal with, y'all getting calls too. So we thank y'all for dealing with it as soon as y'all can and eliminating the problem.
Great.
Mayor, one thing I want
Yes, sir.
to comment on, and, I deal with probably Vince more than anybody because of the sewer thing, and I had some issues at my house, but what I want to say is the people out there, the citizens that see me, say the city went to their house, if it's public works or if it's a sewer department, and said the guy was so nice or the girl was so nice. That's good to hear, because before you didn't really hear that, and I want to applaud those, because it doesn't take much to when people are having a problem in their house, they think that's the only problem going on, and when the person is not nice, they're very, you wouldn't believe the calls we used to get. And in this past year, honestly, Mayor, never got one time a person called and said the city worker was not nice to them. And that goes a long way. So we want to thank y'all for that. Even you, Jimmy.
And I have to go. I got to go to my office tomorrow, so I can't forget my staff. They keep the ball rolling and keep all this communication going because they really work hard to connect the dots so that we all do get our answers. So, good. Yeah, we do have a good team. All right. Thank you, Kevin.
I'd like to, let the board,
Yes.
we're working, everybody's working on trying to present the reports sooner, so that y'all have a quicker, picture of what's going on.
Good. Thank you, Kevin. Good job. All right. Now we're moving on to discussion items. We haven't really been discussing anything tonight. Madam Clerk.
Discussion by Council Member Marlon Lewis on naming a city street in honor of the late J. Leo Hardy, founder of NAACP in New Iberia, Louisiana.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mr. Cornelius Joseph, he spoke on this agenda item. Me and him had been talking about this for some years, getting a street named or getting some type of memorabilia honoring the person who started the NAACP in Iberia Parish. I'm going to read a little bit about him. Joseph Leo Hardy was born in Sunset, Louisiana on November 11, 1891. He was the son of Andrew and Rosa Lee Hardy. At the time of his birth, Louisiana, like other southern states, was governed by Jim Crow and other segregationist bylaws. At a very early age, he began to detest the violent and vicious system that marginalized him and his people. Driven by an incessant fortitude that would define him as a man of conscience and conviction for the rest of his life, he unashamedly welcomed the promotion of civil rights. After being a citizen of New Iberia for quite some time, he, along with progressive-minded individuals like Ms. Frenzella Volta, E.L. Dorsey, and Herman Falk, decided to organize the first ever NAACP branch within the town of New Iberia. And, with that being said, and it being Black History Month, as I look around our community and see what's happening in our community, I remember some years ago they tried to get a Martin Luther King Street in New Iberia. And one of the things that I remember seeing, because it was my grandfather and a few other leaders at that time that wanted to see a Martin Luther King Street. But one of the things that detracted of them at that time was that when they looked around the country, some of the violence that was occurring in the African American communities were happening on Martin Luther King Street. And they didn't want to, or they didn't want that to happen here. And looking back in retrospect, the killing in General the other night happened on the corner of Martin Luther King and Monat Street. They had a killing in Lafayette a couple of weeks ago on Martin Luther King Street. So looking back in retrospect, I get it. And this J. Leo Hardy, I think, is definitely to be commended, to be honored. It holds value in my heart. I'm the first vice president of NAACP, Ms. Ledbetter, treasurer. We have a chapter, but our issues are different now. They're not Jim Crow. They're not segregation. They're economic development. They're education opportunities. The issues are different now. We're not trying to get in places that we can't go anymore. We're trying to teach our children and remind our children that you can go there. So as in Black History Month and looking at J. Leo Hardy, who was a forerunner for us, it just behooved me to partner with Mr. Joseph in trying to get some honor, some recognition. Me and him talked, and I'm going to be honest. He talked about Hopkins Street, and I'm going to be honest. And I told him, I said, Hopkins Street it was a state highway at the time. It's coming to be it still is? Okay, so it's not a city street yet? It's going to be a city street though, right?
Yeah.
If we do the swap.
Yeah. If we
do the street swap. Okay, well, we're going to get into another meet. But
that's down
with the overlaying and stuff.
Yeah, drainage, all kinds of stuff.
And so, I felt personally that, Hopkins Street being such an old street, historic street, I just felt that if we can find a street, maybe the street he lived on, maybe the street that NAACP, the office was on, and see if we can look at that street as possibly being changed and honoring this man.
You could also look at a state plaque.
A state plaque?
Well, it's just another concept like we did with Miss Phoebe.
Okay.
Be a start. At least you'd raise awareness. I mean, I'm not against, anything, but if you did a state plaque, you at least could get some awareness raised.
And it start, and that's what we were
at. Just an idea.
And we're not finished with this because I'm gonna stick with Brother Cornelius, and we're gonna work together in forming a little committee to honor this brother J. Leo Hardy, and many others that need honoring in our community. And that's why, again, and thank you, Cornelius, for pushing me that way. And I just wanted to bring it to the council for discussion, you know.
Good.
And hoping that discussion and awareness, because everything starts with a conversation. And this is the first conversation concerning that. And, you know, like I said, we're going to work together on, if not Hopkins Street, finding a street. And like you say, your idea about the plaque, I mean, that's a start and it brings awareness. You know, so that's my spiel on it, Mayor and Council. And if anybody else has anything else that they want to bring, you know, concerning this, I appreciate any input. We'll appreciate any input.
Good. Any further
Mayor,
discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I have spoken to Mr. Joseph on several occasions. He's my church member, so I see him almost every Sunday. And Mr. Joseph is very passionate about his causes, and I think this is a very good cause, being a member of the NAACP, an active member, because, you know, we have members that aren't active, but we are active. And I am in favor of, you know, a street. It doesn't necessarily have to be Hopkins Street, but maybe A Street being named in his honor, because he did suffer a lot, and you know, for the cause, you know, and being president of the NAACP at that time, back in that day, it was totally different from now. So it was a sacrifice, and he gave, you know, he made a sacrifice in order to do this, so that others could have rights. You know, everybody would have civil rights.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, I respect everything that y'all trying to do, and Mr. Joseph, I spoke to him last year as well.
Me too.
But you're right. At least, you know, A Street name doesn't necessarily have to be Hopkins Street. Being that Hopkins Street is a state highway right now, don't know really much what we can do right now with that. But like you said, doing a plaque, like we
Or if we did the street and the plaque. I mean, they got to raise awareness. So
it's showing awareness.
If a
of who
street
he
came
was,
in
or,
and then
you
you had
know,
a
and I
plaque
think
so
it's
people knew why we named the street.
Right, a plaque is a good way to start. I mean, we did it
Yeah.
last year, so I
Yeah.
think that's something that we can raise awareness by doing that.
Yeah.
At least get the ball rolling. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm perfect.
I'm sure Miss Phoebe Hayes would help us.
Yes.
I'm in support
And
of that.
Miss
That's
Sandra
something-
Eglin.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of great resources, and you know,
So,
we
thank
can
you
pull
for
it
bringing
together.
up.
Yes. Further discussion, Mr. Broussard.
I've got approached by Mr. Joseph. He's called. He has a good concern. It is good to recognize people in the past. I have some of my own family, and you have some there. We have it here. I think a street might not be Hopkins, but a street will be named, and a plaque somewhere too. So you can look for a little support of a street somewhere. Can be named if it's that important of a fellow from back in the past. So you have my support on doing that someday.
Yes.
I'll just say that if you want awareness, I think Mr. Cornelius Joseph is your ideal candidate to make people aware. You know, he's a name that you won't forget. He's a name that you won't forget after one minute conversation. You won't forget
One
Mr.
phone
Cornelius. You won't. But I appreciate.
One of those packets in
But
the mail.
I appreciate that, because there are certain things that I'm passionate about, and if I want to tell you about it, you're gonna hear it. Not you're gonna remember when I walk away from you. And I appreciate that. And there's conversations I've had with him that are not gonna ever leave my brain. So I appreciate your efforts.
Great, thank y'all. Good discussion. Thank you. Next item.
Discussion by Council Member David Broussard to revisit the services being provided by Acadiana MPO.
Back on June 6th, our regular city council meeting, I put on the agenda a safety issue on installing sidewalks and installing a button on the crosswalk at the light so we can put a crosswalk and stop the traffic to be safety. Sidewalks will extend all the way to access Pepperplex. That's where we want to put it for safety on these hotels. Also, Dustin, you requested a survey to study lowering the speed limits on both state roads heading towards Lowerville and the one right along the new Walmart. We haven't got an answer yet on that.
Well, yes, we have.
Well,
Yeah, we did.
like I say, well, we might have one. But we want to know, back on March 21st, we had a regular meeting with Ms. Ashley Moran with the Acadian Metropolitan Planning Organization to discuss local safety projects that we're paying them a fee to fight at the state to get us some of this money for our safety projects. Mr. Mayor Freddie D. Court, please invite Ms. Ashley Moran to give us a full report on progress of safety projects.
Okay.
Could be other ones and all,
I
yeah.
can give you some answers
That's
tonight.
good, I'd like to have an answer. Being pushed to be funded for the city of Iberia to be safe, safety. So
Yes.
tell us the ones that have killed. We have some that have killed,
Yeah.
they said they'll.
We got some good things though.
They say no, and no, we have to take it.
Okay.
But we'd like to hear an answer either
Great,
way.
not a problem. The sidewalks on 14, we have no answer on. We have sent that one in, it's under advisement, but we have no answer. I will continue to monitor that, and we can ask them again, but we don't have an answer on that one. Lowering the speed limits, well, the answer came back and it was no. So that's not gonna happen. Now, what we do have, all right, they're spending $63,000 on safety striping, 10 striping projects throughout the city, and it's 100% funded from the state. So, being part of their group and engaging them as you do very well, we got $63,000 with no match, so that was good. Our next issue, or item, is the service road, okay? They will give us, it's a $1 million project. They're gonna give us $800,000, but we gotta come up with $200,000. And it's a bigger project than that. Let's see yeah. It's awaiting some financial documentation from the city, from DOTD to move the project further. The project is a total value, what we got back was $1 million. $800,000 we provided by MPO and $200,000 we provided by the city. So we have to decide quickly if we're going to come up with $200,000 to put that service road in. We talked about possibly asking the parish, but that's not a yes. I mean, that doesn't mean the parishes, we can't go to the parish for every one of our projects. So, no, well, we can ask, but we're not going to get a yes for every single project. So what we're going to have to do shortly is decide, do we want to put up $200,000? Now, it's not for a year or two. There is some design money. There is money that comes in stages. But it's 2 years away, I think, before we have to come up with the $200,000. So that's two projects that being part of the MPO, is produced for us. But we can talk to them. We can ask them if they can come. Maybe, engaging them again might lead to something else.
I think they're coming in the next meeting.
Okay, I think we got them coming to the next meeting. So that's awesome. Thank you.
But they had a lot of direct input, this organization, into getting some of these funds.
Oh yeah, definitely. We couldn't do it without them.
Okay.
They had total input into this. So without being members of the organization, we wouldn't have got the $63,000 and we wouldn't have the opportunity to do the service road.
Yeah.
So, they're producing. I mean, things are beginning to happen for us.
That's good.
And we made an investment. We all know that. We'll have spent $100,000 by the time we get the $1 million. Then you add in the $63,000, so we're ahead of the game. I think they are smart enough to realize that we have to get something along the way to keep us in the positive. But I do believe that you pay and you belong to this organization. It takes 2 or 3 years, and then they hit you with a little bit that you're back to the positive. That's kind of the way the system's set up. But we'll get them here, Mr. Broussard, and you can ask them all you want, and maybe we can engage them a little further to do a little more for us.
That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you very much. Further discussion, Madam Clerk?
Discussion by Council Member Deidre Ledbetter concerning the Review Ordinances Committee.
Okay, this is just a basic report of our first meeting. The first meeting of the Ordinance Committee was held on January 9, 2018 in Mayor DeCourt's office at 9:00 a.m. Committee members present were Deidre Ledbetter, Chairperson, City Councilwoman, District 4, Dustin Swear, City Councilman, District 6, Jeff Simon, City Attorney, Freddie DeCourt, Mayor, Jane Brode, Director, Planning and Zoning Department, and Maxine Gonzalez, City Clerk. Department directors will be asked to attend meetings as needed. Ordinances discussed for review or new proposals were National Historic District requirements and issues, live oak tree protection, and street sidewalks and other public space to address skateboarding, which is in chapter 74 of the ordinance book, will be researched and proposals presented by Jane Brode. Maxine Gonzalez will research street vendors, pop-up shops, chapter 22, and offenses, chapter 58. And Jeff Simon will review law enforcement, chapter 46. Process for proposed revision will be: council members will provide in writing to the committee the ordinance chapter and section for desired review with suggested revisions. Community members may provide their input to their council member in writing that will be directed to the committee. Council members will be email proposed revisions from the committee for additional input. The community will be able to view revisions on the city website. Additional input must be directed to the appropriate council member to be sent to the committee. The committee will respond to council members' concerns in detail as to the reason for specific action taken. That being, sometimes when you make suggestions and all, there are laws, and that's why Mr. Simon is a member of the committee, and there's state laws, and it's reasons why you can't change or take out certain things, and those reasons will be detailed to the council members. Final revisions will be presented to the full council for approval. At this point, all your input will have been taken into account. You've been given reasons why or why not, those changes couldn't be made or they were made. So, and then it comes up for a vote. So at that point, the discussion is over. We're voting because this is the way it's going to be. The next meeting is scheduled for February 21st, 2018 at 9 o'clock in the mayor's office. The meeting adjourned at 10:51 a.m. We had a very good meeting, and we have a process that we're going to follow. And this has nothing to do with the nuisance ordinance. Councilwoman Guidry is taking care of that particular ordinance. So if you have any input for her about the nuisance ordinances, please direct them to her and her committee. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Ledbetter has laid out a really clean process, and I think this is really neat. We started with a few ordinances that we had concerns about as an administration or that we knew were in the community. Skateboard park is a good example. Jane has helped me. We are, through the Tony Hawks Foundation, applying for a grant. Heather and I have been out there. We're working with the insurance company. We're working with Paul and David Allen, who had a lot to do, started many years ago, and we're looking at revamping that so that when the ordinance comes in place that you can't skate all over downtown, we have a place to say this is where you can go. So that was, the catalyst for that. We've lost some huge oak trees. We're not trying to do this giant landscape ordinance, but we want to protect those really large oak trees. The outcry when they built the neighborhood Walmart and cut those trees down. We've had some other instances where developers have come in and, there's one oak tree that's about a 300-year-old oak tree, and they're like, well, we're going to have to cut that down. So we're looking at, just high examples of things that really would affect the community, starting with that. Again, if the council has some ordinance they want to look at, there's now a process that if you see something in the course of doing your job that just really seems outdated. But Deidre has laid out a really good process that I think is going to cut to it and just get the job done. So I'm excited about it. It's a fun committee. Any further discussion?
I just want to say thanks.
Oh, me too.
Thanks. I'm at a different place in my life where I'm young and I have young kids, so my schedule is more challenging, and I appreciate those that have you know, we went through that the first time. Dan and I were real close, and it was like, man, Dan has all this extra time to do.
Hey.
Dan's like meeting with CPAs. I mean, Dan taught me how to read the budget. I piggybacked off of Dan's meeting with the CPA. But you know, I appreciate it because, you know, I appreciate everybody putting in as much as they absolutely can. Thank you.
And
Yes, ma'am.
putting it in writing is the best way. That way, you know, and going through to your council member for the community, then you'll know
You have a
who the
trail.
person is and who you can get back to, and you're more involved with your constituents.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to say thank you for asking me to be a part of that committee, because it is straightforward. Like you just said,
It's all
it's
business.
to the point, it's all business, and I believe it's more effective that way. And all the council's input, what they want to see done. Like we discussed earlier, it's gonna have a lot to do with law enforcement as soon as law enforcement takes effect, so things can get moving. So, but it like you said, it's straightforward. It is a fun committee because it was straight to the point, and I believe it's gonna be effective. So, thank you for that.
Good. Yes.
Mayor, I think what works is that we have so many ordinances in the books, so many has been changed, amendments, added, and the way you're doing it is taking the ones that's really important, not that they're not all important, instead of looking at that whole book and try to change everything.
Right.
You identify the ones that we have issues with, address those, and slowly get them straight, then move on is such a good way of doing it.
And the drive is the new police department on some, and then development on others, which are two things that we are very active in this administration. So trying to get those new businesses here and make it as friendly, developer friendly as we can, those are kind of the two catalysts. The police coming and, you know, getting it out there so that developers realize we're trying to work with them. So it is a, you know, good committee. Great. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, 9D.
Discussion by all on ordinance article 6, section number 86-261, driving through standing water.
I put this one on, and when everybody calls me, I'm gonna start doing it just like that. Put on the agenda, just put all next to it. This was one that, you know, I'm gonna give Dan his credit. In 1998, Dan put this ordinance up. You know, we have, Lafayette, I saw on the news, is just passing this ordinance, okay? So Lafayette's
We've been
copy
having it.
of the new Iberia since 1998. That doesn't happen
Piggybacking.
too often. They piggybacking off of us, all right? It shall be unlawful for any driver to drive any vehicle through standing water in a manner so as to cause any wake or wave to reach any building unless this vehicle is an emergency vehicle. So this was passed in 98. We had some flooding the day of the walk. Marlo and I talked to most of you, but Marlo and I had issues back and forth. Mr. Lee, as he was saying, I'm on the phone with Leroy. I mean, we're all over the place just trying to address some of these issues and citizens' concerns, and the bulk of the problems were, you know, I talked to Councilman Ledbetter, I talked to...
You called me and said, I think my Jeep is floating.
Oh, yeah, it was bad. That's the deepest it's ever been. I'm getting a snorkel, but anyway. You know, we talked back and forth, and the big consensus was all of the damage was coming from people who were joyriding in the water. You know, once we have a police department, we can enforce this and enforce it quickly. But I found it, did the research, asked Maxine, she says, we already have that. Started looking, Dan put that up in 98. I said, well, I just want to bring it up so our citizens realize we have an ordinance in place. And come July, please don't do it, but come July, we will have a mechanism to stop you from doing it. We're going to be getting back all the barricades from the sheriff's department. The sheriff actually, the day of the flooding, sent me barricades. He had to take them back because of a Mardi Gras parade that's coming that he needs to put them out. But come July, we get back the 98 barricades that were given to him in 2004. That's going to give us many barricades to start blocking streets off, and, you know, we'll have police units to block streets. But this is just something that we all needed to let everybody know that we have this tool in place and kind of remind ourselves. So I put it on just so we could tell our citizens, please stay out of the water when it starts flooding. Any further discussion? Mr. B.
Mrs. Smith on Adams Street, help is coming. We're gonna put you a special barricade for you to take care of blocking Adams Street. I'm telling you, she called Sherry up to get my number to call me up. And you, let Sherry too.
Yeah, she called.
So look, you would get a special barricade for you to handle.
All right. That works for me.
We got
Wow,
97
you know
now.
what?
Okay, now we got 97.
No, you know what? I'm serious. I'm serious though. She did call me. But while we're talking about that, just to put it on your notes, I guess, for when y'all have a meeting, and I don't know where this would fall in the ordinance book, but I have an issue, and I don't know if the issue is going to still be there when the police department comes back, but and you know about it, that there's certain people in my neighborhood in McCain Acres that, like, it starts raining and they like, bye, we roping our own road off. And they do it every time, and it's like a catch-22. So it's like, while y'all are talking about that, maybe y'all need to talk about this other thing, because, you know, I don't want y'all to write my people a ticket, but I understand their frustration.
I do too, and I have businesses.
protect your place.
You do. I have businesses that, and I don't think that's going to be an issue. I mean, you have to
Or
protect
maybe
your property.
and I was thinking this the other day, maybe have like a prioritized list of those streets that are always hit the hardest, and meet with those, those homeowners that are worried, and maybe, I don't know, give them permission. I don't know if we can give them permission to rope the road off.
Mr. Leroy, through this year, has staged barricades in locations before when we see it's
Right.
coming, and then those property owners in that area put the barricades up because they're on the site and on the scene, and
No,
then the water's getting critical.
No, and I
So,
understand
you
that.
gotta protect your
and
property.
I know that he's
I'm not
proactive
giving
about
anybody a
it.
ticket because they protected their property from flooding. I mean, that's,
Right, but I'm just saying, like, my streets I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Or maybe just let
And
the
I have
police
a
department
well,
know
I can
that
give 'em a list.
these people rope off their own streets. If you see this street roped off,
Right.
yeah, no, it wasn't you, and it wasn't IPSO, it was them.
I understand. Good.
And Mayor, also,
Yes, ma'am.
Easy Street,
Yes.
Mr. JD with,
Yeah.
Cane River Pecans, he did ask permission to use the barricades to rope, to block
Yes.
off the street, because people believe exit off of Jefferson Terrace because of the water's so deep, and
Cut
they
through.
go right down Easy Street, and then just,
I know.
the water's going, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Easily floods his building.
yes, so, he has some barricades,
I know that.
and he has permission to do so.
Well,
Just
I think
as long as we have that communication, clear, because, I haven't never told them not to rope it, I'm just like.
I'm not going to tell them not to either because they got to protect their property. But we'll get there. I think that these new barricades will help. I think that raising awareness for this ordinance, and like you said, we got a little work to do, and we will get it done. Good, Madam Clerk.
Council remarks.
Great.
Well, you want to start, Natalie?
Yeah, start on Natalie's in this time.
I'm gonna blow everyone's
She's
mind
all
and say
Hey.
nothing. I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Can we put that in the
Thank
minutes?
you.
Happy Mardi Gras and happy Valentine's.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna say, happy Black History Month. I'm asking the youth to pay homage to an African American pioneer, and try to model yourself behind those pioneers, and just watch how it'll change your life.
Great. Thank you.
I have a very important thing that we have to bring up. As of Friday, February the 2nd, the bridge on Briarwood was closed for 3 months, leaving only one outlet. The traffic light at Admiral Dahl, which is a state road for over 30 years. The state had a turning arrow on Admiral Dahl to turn into College Park. We've been fighting this for tooth and nail for 3 years. I can be there for 32 years when they change the poll, they recount the cars, and they say we can't have one. Well, I watch almost coming here, one of my older neighbors. We have to turn into the yellow light to get across. We'll go, and that's illegal. You have to go in the middle of the intersection. You have 4 cars behind you. You can at least go 1 car. So we having trouble with that right now. We talked to the state. They came count at 6:30 in the morning. Count cars. Not 11 or 12 or 1 o'clock. We've been fighting this tooth and nail. The long story short, I hope the mayor pro temp and mayor, you send another letter to DOTD and a copy of it to our state representatives. It is highly immoral for the state to dictate what is right for the people. That we're going to get in a bad wreck the next 3 months having only one outlet. Yeah, I'm emotional because the people I represent, they have a lot of old people in there and they can't turn. So we need some help more. And that DOTD man, he's talking nicer to me now because I'm a city councilman. But he's still, no. We're just looking into prolonging the light.
You know, the day you called me, and you called me the first day.
Oh, yeah?
I called DOTD, got with Mr. Leroy, we got him out there. I can continue to put pressure on him,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's all I
I
can
know
do.
we
But
can't,
you
but
know
we
that
try.
we're trying because
But if
I
y'all-
do see the struggle, and it is frustrating.
Yeah.
I look myself.
know.
You can't turn.
Kathaka, 3-4 months a year they close. You got to turn an hour. How about down there on
That's a good point.
you
We
know,
need to put that in our letter.
they got
I like
another
that.
one on St. Jude, going to nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Turn
All right.
left.
Well,
You know, God don't. You know, I'm up here to represent the people, and they're having a lot of trouble right now.
I know that.
For
and-
3
and-
months, if y'all have any kind of way we can put special effort.
And I want the people that you represent to know you called me immediately with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we got on it. We will get on it again. I like those 2 points. I'm gonna put them in the
At
letter.
least the people know we're fighting for 'em.
I understand.
But
I
we
understand.
can't beat up our God in Lafayette that thinks he knows better. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Broussard.
Oh, we're gonna get it done one way or the other.
Thank you very much.
Look, he was fighting
Oh,
that.
I know.
Mr. Swear fought that.
Look,
You know, it's been a problem.
Yeah, I agree. We'll team up on it. See what we
if
can
you
do.
don't mind.
I don't mind at all. Yes, sir.
Mayor, maybe, I know you got some calls, and I know Dustin got some calls, and I've been getting a bunch of calls about the burnt street lights throughout the city.
Yes.
The only thing I can tell, and the people out there is at night, if they see one, if they can get the address close to where
Please
it's
call
at,
it in. Please
call it in. There's a bunch of them, and we're getting charged for them, and I still don't think that's right, but anyway, we need to call it in, because I guarantee you, every street you go down, you're gonna find a handful of lights out. Well, maybe not in your district, Mr. Roban. But, and something else, Mayor, is maybe we can look at and do another study in the park. I had a couple people call me about the lighting. They pretty, they cute, but they just don't put a lot of light in some section when you walk early in the morning. I walk.
People told you about it.
Yeah, people tell me about those things. You know?
Yeah, I
My
understand.
wife doesn't get up that early. She walks during the day. But no, really, we can look at it.
along the walking trail.
It is, because I noticed a couple Mardi Gras balls we went to, and going to the cars, it really is dark, you know, it might help out. And one more question people ask me, what is those black poles at the intersection of this, of like Main Street and that? They put these black poles up,
Decorative poles.
Lewis and Parkview?
yeah,
In the yield,
What's that?
in a yield area.
That's a crosswalk, huh? Yeah, crosswalk.
Oh,
Oh, so it's gonna stop the traffic, like the little walking people?
Yes. Crosswalk.
Really?
Yep. We're becoming
Like New York,
We're
you just
becoming
walk,
a
you
big
got to
city.
walk. I never forget. My wife kept pushing me, walk the feet. Well, good. I'm glad to know that.
progress. Progress.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a neighborhood watch for districts 4 and 5 will be February 15th at the Slyman, 6:00 p.m. And our featured speaker will be our Assistant Police Chief, Brandon Williams. So even if you're not a member of District 4, District 5, if you're interested in meeting our Assistant Police Chief, please come out, ask questions. If you have some concerns, come on out. 6:00 on the 15th at the Slyman.
Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of remarks. Dan's right about if anybody's in District 6 or anywhere throughout the city sees a burnt street light, please just call it in and or call City Hall and it's going to be taken care of. Another thing coming up in March, Festival of Live Oaks. I'm a big advocate of it. We need to get some awareness out. We do have some openings for barbecue teams. I think we actually have a few more teams participating this year, and I think the mayor wants to get in on the competition.
Yeah, I think
here,
I'm
so-
going to.
He did say he was going to get in on it, so we're going to
I'll
find
work.
out. So please, if you have any questions, contact Heather at the parks, and like it's the same thing every year. We can have barbecue, live bands, arts and crafts, booths, vendor booths. So please, if anyone's interested, don't
Cool.
hesitate to call Heather at the parks and get on it. Get on the list. So, thank you.
Good, thank you. We're gonna put a city team together, Jeff.
Stay on your home team.
I like
Yeah.
competition.
All right,
So,
hey,
like,
you know, we might just
Stay
come
on
beat
your
you.
own
We might
team.
just come beat you. Great. I just have a couple of them. The next city council meeting is February 20th. We still have wonderful properties for sale on the website from Civic Source, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.